I am the Warrior, and this is Daze with Jordan the Lion. It begins now!
That's right, an actual ring-worn Ultimate Warrior jacket, sleeveless jacket with the airbrushing and everything on it. I definitely remember this specific jacket. That is amazing. I can't believe you let me wear it. Now this is amazing. He has one of the Ultimate Warrior singlets and an actual pair of his trunks and a pair of the boots. That is incredible. So not only the jacket, but he's got basically an entire costume here. He's ready for a match, baby. That's amazing. I love the Warrior. Big fan of the Warrior. And those are signed. As are the trunks. Oh, those are the SummerSlam 88 trunks. Holy moly. Martin, it's good to see you. How are you today, and what the heck are you holding?
You have any idea what these are, Jordan? Any idea?
I hope they're not yours.
They're not mine. They'd be too damn big. They'd be way too big. As a matter of fact, these were earlier on in his career, but these are Andre the Giant's WrestleMania 2, the first Battle Royal. These are his actual trunks. So
wow.
These are a real piece of wrestling history. I have been asked numerous times to sell these, to trade these, and the answer has been no.
He actually wore those and had the Battle Royals in his honor.
Correct.
I mean, that's a huge piece
This
to have.
is a really cool piece of history because it's Andre's and it has the actual K&H trunks. And most importantly, which is really cool, I have it on my bed here, I got the actual paperwork. And it's signed from Vince. He gave them up in the 90s. They put them up for auction. And can I say something?
Vince McMahon, wow.
Vince, what were you thinking? These are now iconic. I don't think they knew what these would ever turn into. So these are really a cool piece of wrestling history. WrestleMania 2 with Andre the Giant. And what also cool is when I got it years ago, it came with the actual card. And I will tell you something. When I first got this.
Oh yeah, he's wearing them.
Yeah, when I first got this actual thing, I was like, back then, 10, 15 years ago, when I was collecting more of the wrestling stuff, I was like, it really didn't matter to me. But I got them because I thought they were cool. Now I have no idea. The Battle Royal trunks, which are named in his honor now. So the match is named after him. So really cool piece to have in the collection, and they've been kept safe and sound. This is my one and only Andre the Giant piece, and I think it's
one heck of a piece to have.
Absolutely.
What do we have here?
So this I acquired years ago. This is actually Superstar Billy Graham's Hall of Fame jacket. It's super cool, heavy. It looks like a Native American art on it, and I have his Hall of Fame ring as well. He was a great wrestler in the 80s, really jacked. I know he's got some medical issues now, but this came along in my collection years ago. I forgot through a trade or whatever it might have been, but just cool to have that piece because it's just a really cool looking jacket. And he's a big dude. I'm only like about 5'9", 5'9.5", but he's this jacket is way too big on me, so this is cool. This guy was more my size. I think Superfly Snuka, although height-wise. But body-wise, he got me by a lot. But Superfly's, this is his ring-worn stuff here too, a Jimmy Superfly Snuka piece. So he passed, as we know, a little bit of controversy with what happened in the 80s with that murder or whatever allegedly occurred.
Yeah.
So I saw documentaries and stuff like that. I think that's still out about what really happened there. But nonetheless, great wrestler, great talent.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable wrestler, yeah. High flying.
Yeah, he set the standard for some of the stuff that we see nowadays. So
well, like Mick Foley has said, like that was kind of like what made him want to be a wrestler, was seeing Superfly at the Garden.
Yes, and that was who can remember that match, and that was phenomenal. So we own this piece. This is cool to have in the collection as well, which I enjoy having. So these are two cool pieces in the wrestling collection. So this is a really cool piece also. This is Bobby Heenan's jacket when he was a commentator. I mean, every single person I talked to across the board loved Bobby, and he was hilarious.
The Weasel.
Everybody loved him. The jokes that when I meet up with the crew, the jokes that they talk about from Bobby is just, he was so sharp-witted and funny. So it was just, everybody loved him, and they loved his sense of humor. So he's a great person to have in the back area with the boys and everything. But Bobby Heenan jacket.
The man who coined the phrase humanoids.
Yes.
And the reason I know people, sometimes I call people ham and eggers.
This is really cool. It's an Eddie Guerrero piece. I have a lot of Eddie stuff actually, just trunks and tights and everything. I know Vicky had some and gave some out. This is years ago, and this was more common to do this. But these were given for sale or just given out at it might have been at conventions or whatever it is, or private sales. I know some of this, but again, nowadays this stuff is pretty rare to get, almost impossible to get. But a decade ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was a much different time. But really cool piece of Eddie's. What a talent he was too. Not a big guy. I'm 5'9" myself. I think he's probably around my size. But he's basically, incredible talent and really cool. But the flame piece, the Eddie Guerrero piece. I have a good friend who has a massive crush on him still to this day, Sarah. So she knows I have this stuff, and every time she comes over, she wants to see it or try it on. It's super cool.
Oh, so those were Eddie's boots, and Vicky signed.
Vicky signed them. Yeah, Vicky had some of the boots. That's just
what
cool.
a nice lady she is. I got to meet her at StarCast this year. Yeah. What an absolutely cool lady.
Yeah, she's remarried, and from what I understand, I think she's living in Texas, I believe, from what I heard last. But great set of boots, and she passed on some of Eddie's stuff and gave it out to the fans, and this somehow ended up in my collection. We have just another set of Eddie boots, again with the flames, typical Eddie boots with the flames on them. They've had the laces removed, but something I just keep in the collection as well.
I always think, when I think of Eddie, I think of the Frog Splash.
Oh, absolutely. He's got really cool stuff. So he was using these at some point.
What do you have there?
This is really cool. So this is an actual tag team belt. This is the real deal. This was TV used back then.
Like Demolition? What years do you think would have been?
Probably in the 80s, somewhere in the 80s, probably around the Hart Foundation eras or British Bulldog era, probably in the mid 80s, somewhere around that time frame. So you have these belts, and it's beat up. I mean, it's just, but it's super heavy. You tell with some of these
thick
belts,
plates,
thick blades, super heavy. Everything's coming off. Got that type of thing, but super cool piece to have in the collection.
Now, you told me you were going to do something with that, or
so we actually did it already. We did it with Marty Jannetty. We did something special. I gave him a belt because the Hart Foundation lost the belt to the Rockers, and it was a big thing in the early 90s, like around 1990. So, and they actually wrestled 3 matches. It wasn't on TV, but they actually went to 3 different cities as the champs. But because the ring broke around in this 1990 era, they never actually granted the Rockers the tag titles on TV.
Oh,
so it's a really interesting story. You have to look that up, Jordan, yourself. But so an interesting time. So I did something for fun. I bought Marty Jannetty up. Marty Jannetty's has some health issues, some ankle issues right now, but he's a fun guy to be around. Definitely different, but fun guy to be around. And so bottom line is we gave him a belt as a tribute at a match just for fun.
That's cool.
This was gifted by Matt Hardy to Rocky Johnson, and actually I have the paperwork on it in there, which is pretty cool. But this is an ECW belt, nice belt, and you can see. Let me see if actually they signed it here. So Rocky Johnson says got it from Matt Hardy. So you don't see a lot of stuff. I mean, Rocky Johnson has since passed, but you just don't see a lot of this type of stuff anymore, where you got like a belt gifted to the Rock's dad.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Really cool to see that. And I actually had the opportunity to meet the Hardys briefly at a show. They did an indie show up here in Massachusetts for big time wrestling. And my friend Jay Lethal, Jay's a great guy, by the way, and actually a great person to carry on Randy's legacy when he does that entire macho gimmick. But I had the opportunity to meet Matt Hardy through Jay real briefly. I got a couple pictures and I said hi to them. But bottom line is, very cool belt. So if the Hardys are out there, I want them to, maybe they'll see that this was passed on, and it's now ended up in my collection somehow, taking good care of it. And I don't collect too much toy action, or I don't want to call them toys, let's call them action figures, because some of the guys get offended by action figures, quote unquote. But one person who should be in the Hall of Fame who's not, and I really enjoyed watching him in the 80s, was Rick the Model Martel. And Rick and Lanny Poffo are good friends, and I'm good friends with Lanny. And I had the opportunity to talk to Rick a couple times. He introduced me, and I told Lanny how much I really, really liked his character in the 80s. I mean, he was a good-looking guy, built, buffed. I mean,
the arrogance spraying around the arrogance.
Absolutely was it. What a great gimmick. So what a good talent. This is somebody that should be in the Hall of Fame, and that should go in soon. You know, I know he's got a wife, a daughter, I believe. He adopted a daughter, I believe, and she's probably in college now. Bottom line is, what a great character. So Rick was sent these down to me from his house personally. He's living in Canada, and I got these. I put these in the collection.
That's awesome.
Force thing in this, but I just wanted to mention this. This is super cool. So Rick the Model Martel, thank you for all the memories and all the stuff you did for me in the 80s, because this is why I keep this stuff, and it was an honor to have you sign these a few years back. So Jordan, these are cool too. So these are a couple of they call him Teddy, but Ted DiBiase, if you know him well, Teddy, but Ted DiBiase's trunks. Ted was a great character, you know, with the $1 million gimmick. What a laugh. I mean,
yeah,
that iconic laugh with that evil.
Everybody has their price.
And he does that great. I won't even try to do it because I would never do it justice, but what a great gimmick. So these are Ted DiBiase's trunks, a couple of them with the dollar sign on him. What a fantastic gimmick. What a great heel he was. And I think he retired earlier on because of back problems, I believe, but what a great heel he was, and you know, he helped put over Randy in WrestleMania 4 and all that other stuff.
I don't know if there was anybody when I was growing up that I loved to hate more than the Genius and Mr. Perfect when they walked out, which tells you how good of heels they were. You have one of the Genius's robes.
So this is something really cool. Lanny is a very close friend of mine, and we are very good friends. And Lanny now lives in Ecuador. He's retired. And Lanny has actually introduced me to my fiance, who we'll get on video later on. We're going to sneak her out. But bottom line is, Lanny gifted this special piece to me years ago. This was a full-on Genius robe. And what's really cool about this piece, and I'm going to tell you about it in a second, it was worn on national TV, but not just for wrestling, for also a big-time talk show in the morning, and it was worn with Mr. Perfect. And if you remember, this was worn with Regis and Kelly in the morning. So
wasn't it Kathy Lee?
I apologize, it's Kathy Lee.
Regis and Kathy Lee, yeah. We're going back.
We're going back. Regis and Kathy Lee. Now I'm thinking about Kelly, but Kelly took over later on.
Yeah.
He wore this on the show with Mr. Perfect, and this was the actual Genius robe that he had on that show. So I've kept this in my collection, again in my bedroom. I sleep near it, but I'm a hardcore fan. But I feel, you know, it's something I've taken care of, and Lanny gifted this to me years back, and it's a really cool piece to have in the collection. And you know, Lanny was a very talented wrestler also, but when you have a brother as good as Randy, it's tough.
Yeah.
To follow that act.
You know, I got to ask you one thing. Has he ever written you a poem?
Actually, yes, we have multiple poems. So not one directly to me in that sense, but he's written poems to my offices where I work and other stuff like that. And I'm going to tell you something. That's not a gimmick. Lanny knows poems like this off the top of his head.
That's awesome.
And he can write and he can recite stuff that it's unbelievable.
That's probably where the character came from, and Vince knew about it. And
he's a real life poet. I mean, this guy is no joke. He can recite you stuff, poems. I'm like, we took a car ride one time, I think, from my house to Logan Airport, and the whole time he recited a poem. It was unbelievable. I mean, and we're just in awe. He remembered every line, word for word. So he's still going strong at, I think he's 67, he'll be 68 this year. He's got me by 19 years. Matter of fact, his birthday is December 28th, mine's December 29th. So we always wish each other a happy birthday pretty much on the same day, because right around that time. But Lanny and I go back, and I'm going to tell you something else on video. Lanny has gifted me a lot of Randy's stuff, so without his input, I could not have had a lot of this collection, and which I do appreciate. But in that sense, people say, well, do you want to sell it? Do you want to do it? No, the answer is no, because that's something personal that was passed down to me from Lanny. So I don't put stuff up for sale because it would be an insult to him and myself and everybody. Jimmy, this is Jimmy Hart's WrestleMania 4 outfit. I have the entire thing. I got this from another collector a few years ago, and I'm going to tell you, there's not too much Jimmy Hart stuff out there, but this is a pretty cool set to have, the complete set. And Jimmy is a good friend, and again, one of the best guys ever. Everybody in the business, I'm sure, knows. And Jimmy is a humble man, a great man, and what an honor to call him a friend. Jimmy's been to my place a few times. We do some charity work together, and every time I call him, he answers. And he's just a total Southern gentleman. And it's an honor because I knew Jimmy through the Hart Foundation. I was a huge Hart Foundation fan back in the 80s. And just to call him a friend, Danny Davis, and those guys. What an honor. But the bottom line is, this is a piece of WrestleMania history from Jimmy, and what's really cool is you can see the back of it too. Let me spin that around.
God, that's great with the tails.
With the tails.
That's great.
So really cool piece of Jimmy's, and again, really nice custom made piece. And as these guys became more and more popular and famous, their outfits got better and better, just like Randy. So I like Jimmy's outfit. What a good stuff he did in the megaphone. What a great gimmick. He played a great heel too.
Mouth of the South. And you know, he doesn't get enough credit for being a great songwriter and writing some of the themes for the wrestlers and the Gentrys, of course.
Yes, he was with the Gentrys, and I didn't know that, but he worked with Shawn Michaels on Sexy Boy.
Yeah.
He told that to me last time. So
yeah.
He explained that to me when he was up here, and I said, I had no idea. So he helped them with their theme songs and all that stuff.
I love
and
Jimmy,
Shawn,
yeah.
And Shawn said he couldn't sing, and Jimmy helped him to do it. So it was just amazing, the stuff, the history with that stuff. And like I said in my other segment here, Jimmy was up here. We decided to do a video of some of the stuff, because I told Jimmy, 50 years from now, we're not going to be here.
Yeah.
So we were able to do some private video, which I'm going to keep for some time, and then when the time comes, if I'm still around, I'll release it. But it's in a safe spot right now. But we definitely wanted to get the history behind some of this stuff, because I wasn't there. I just watched it on TV.
Yeah.
But these guys were there, and they lived it. And these were their colleagues, and they're other professionals that they work with. So it's an honor to have this piece in the collection. Again, I hate to say this again, but it's right near my bed. I sleep next to it. So I take
Gotta keep your eye on it.
Yeah, keep.
So I was kind of amazed you have a massive love of the Olympics as well, and a massive Olympics collection, which kind of dovetails into wrestling with Kurt Angle. But what do you have?
So this is actual Joe Green's. He's a long jumper, great long jumper, by the way. And he was in the early 90s in 92 Olympics and 96 Olympics. He was a two-time bronze medalist. And he was jumping with Carl Lewis and Michael Powell. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you something cool, which I didn't show you yet as well. Let me show you something really neat. This is actual picture of Joe. And that's actually a picture of Mark Henry. My dogs ate up that picture. Can you believe it? So that actually was back then in the 90s. And that's a picture of Joe Green with Carl Lewis. So he's actually a long jumper. He just decided to pawn his medals. So they were on Pawn Stars. I would watch them in the background of the show. I'm like, damn, those medals look nice. So I actually went to Vegas myself on a dental conference trip, popped down to the pawn store, and I actually acquired Joe's medals. So when I bought him in Vegas, and I decided to give him back one of them, I kept one of them myself for the collection, he knows that. But bottom line is I gave him back one. Hacksaw Jim Duggan and I did a presentation in Rhode Island. Hacksaw used to do comedy shows, so we would go with him for a comedy show, and I gave Joe back one of his medals. But tying this in to Kurt Angle, this is actual Kurt Angle singlets, and you know, he's got the three eyes, it's damn true Kurt Angle, and he's got integrity, intelligence, Kurt Angle. So that's just super cool to have those, a couple of his Kurt Angle singlets. And I think they made a biography about Kurt as well on the A&E channel or whatever it was.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so it's big. But again, just tying this back, this is actually a medal that Kurt would have won. So Kurt would have actually won this medal. So Kurt, here we go, giving you a medal right there. That's an Atlanta 96 medal. Now Kurt does have that medal from 96. Now I heard a story that somebody stole one of Kurt's bags. The medal was in it, but they gave him back the medal. I think there's a story out there about that. This is really cool. Jim's a good friend, a good family friend, I consider him, and I was introduced to Jim through Lanny. And Jim is also one of the funniest guys ever you'll meet too. Great sense of humor. Jim gifted these boots to me a while ago. This was from the first ever Battle Royal, was it Royal Rumble? I apologize.
Oh,
Rumble.
wow.
First ever Royal Rumble, because Andre had the Battle Royal. So this was the first ever Royal Rumble in '88 when he won. So I believe it was January, February of '88, he won the first ever Royal Rumble, and these were the boots from that match. They've been in my collection now for a few years. First ever Royal Rumble. Again, just like Andre's trunks, we have the first ever boots from the first ever Royal Rumble, and just like we had Andre's trunks from the first ever Battle Royal. It's cool to have both the first ones. And this is Jim's board. Ho! I have a personal friendship with some of the wrestlers, which is a great thing. Which they're all great people, and I've developed a good friendship over some time. But sometimes I get a cool gift. For example, this piece here was left to me by Fred Tugboat Ottman. Fred is a great guy. Tugboat, by the way, he's a huge guy. I'm like 5'9". Fred's got to be like 6'7", 6'8". He's big. So and it's a joke between us. He actually broke my toilet one time and the downstairs seat in my kitchen. So that seat's moved downstairs into the basement. But anyhow, he's a great guy. Love Fred. So he gifted that to me because we did a charity event a while ago. That's a cool little Tugboat hat. I got and There's a ton of more stuff we'll go through.
Well, what are the trunks? You were showing me those a little bit ago.
These were Rocky Johnson's trunks. These were The Rock's dad. So now people don't remember in some cases, but The Rock's dad was also a big-time wrestler as well, Rocky Johnson. So he passed away, I think, a couple of years ago, and I think The Rock did a tribute for his father as well. But that's a cool piece to have. We got some Bret Hart glasses. Jimmy Hart, also a good friend and one of the nicest people you will ever meet. There's not one bad thing you can ever say about Jimmy. He's a good man. That's a Hulk Hogan piece that he signed for WrestleMania 5. You got some CM Punk trunks. And just a ton of action figures and stuff like that. I know there's a guy called GWC, I believe, out somewhere.
Yeah.
He collects a lot of those figures too. So
I noticed you have the real Hart, like the original Hart Foundation signed that.
Yeah, all three. So Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and of course Jimmy Hart. And you know what I got to do? I'm good friends with Danny Davis. He's a good man as well. Danny's actually local here in Massachusetts. I got to get Danny to sign this as well. I've thought about that as well, but it's kind of tough when you have a friendship with some of the guys. You don't want to ask them to sign stuff because you're friends too, and then so you got to separate that side out, which I do, you know, because listen. It's sometimes it takes after a tough week of work, you just want to shut it down.
Yeah.
Your signatures, you don't want to be done. I see patients all week. I want to be done after like Saturday afternoon. My body shuts down. I'm done. So it's the same thing with that, but they do that when they can, which I appreciate. But again, that's a cool piece.
There's some Randy and Ultimate Warrior trunks, but you said those aren't the ones he wore?
No, these were not used in the match. These were ones that were made after, or like a replica one, basically. But Warrior did sign these. So this would have been similar to the trunks that he wore. However, the signature is legitimate, but the trunks were a replica trunks that that were made. Or it could have been another set, like a backup set, or another set that was made at that time, and then Warrior happened to sign them. So bottom line with this is the signature's legit, but that's not the ones that he actually wore in the match. But they're still very cool to have on display. Jordan, so this is Sin Cara's mask. It's unbelievable. Some guys are really looking for this stuff now, some collectors, and I really, really like this stuff because he had such amazing outfits, and what a talent he was. The guy could fly around the ring and do all sorts of stuff, so I really enjoy collecting his stuff. I have a few of his complete sets here of his stuff. I've had them for a while next to some of Randy's stuff. Actually, I have another set of Randy's trunks here too, but it's another set of Macho Man trunks and one of his pants, but a ton of Sin Cara stuff as well. And those used to be literally on eBay or somewhere years ago, but now they're rare, and I really enjoy having these in the collection. So Jordan, we're in my pool room, and this is a rare look at some of this stuff, which I've had around for a while. The only thing annoying about this is I've ran out of room, so every time we play pool, the pool sticks always go into these things, so we got to be careful. But this is Leaping Lanny's. You know, we looked at the robe upstairs. This is actually Leaping Lanny jacket that he wore. This is when he was a babyface, and he used to get beaten up all the time. So he was a good guy, but he used to basically have to lose.
Yeah.
So what do you call that? A job. He was a jobber.
Jobber, yeah.
He was a jobber, quote unquote. So that was his jobber days. You have a set of Hulk Hogan pants here, which are cool too. You know, Hulk does these. You go down to Hulk Hogan's beach shop, which I've been down to in Clearwater, Florida. He's got these out there. So these were ring used. Very cool, very just cool piece to have. I don't know when Hulk used those at some point. Let's see what we have. A Jack Swagger piece. His real name is Jake Hager. I know he's with AEW. He was with AEW. I believe he still is. If he's not, he's another talented wrestler.
Bobby Heenan.
Yes, right here, Bobby Heenan piece. Super cool.
Whoa.
Bobby Heenan piece, commentator piece. That's a really nice piece. And again, people love Bobby. A lot of the guys. How he was hilarious. Everybody tells us how hilarious he was, and we know from television just how funny he was too. He was a great heel commentator. So
Yeah, there he signed it.
Tito Santana, good guy. One of the guys who he's a school teacher, teaches Spanish, is a great family man. Not talked about too much these days, but Tito was around for a lot of that era, and he was a great wrestler from that time, from Strike Force to
Arriba!
Tito, absolutely, from the Matador and stuff like that. So this is his WrestleMania 1 trunks, and I believe these are WrestleMania 3 trunks, so these were a little bit darker. He wrote these darker, but it's cool to have something from WrestleMania 1, and I think Tito was around for all that type of stuff, from the mid-'80s onwards. What a great wrestler he was. Tito's been here a couple times. He knows about my collection. Great guy. He's in Jersey, and I've done a couple events and a couple functions with Tito over the years. Really nice man.
That's cool. Wow. I mean, WrestleMania 1 and 3. Wow.
Awesome stuff.
That's great. And he even authenticated it for you.
Absolutely. Another great guy, great man, is Sean Waltman, aka X-Pac. He is not that character you see on TV going, suck it. Sean is actually a good man. He got married recently, and he and I have one thing in common. We both love dogs. And he has a dog, Lula, that Sean's been to my house once or twice, I forget. We did a private party a few years ago. And I'll tell you something, Sean's a great guy. His dog, Lula, he rescued Lula from some, she was all mangled, and she has trouble like opening her mouth and everything, and Sean has to feed her. Sean takes good care of her, and I'm very impressed with that. And my dogs met Lula. They played around and hung out for a while we were here. But Sean is a good man, and he gifted me this DX stuff. So basically, super cool. Now,
which crazy because he was a part of NWO and DX.
Correct.
Like what an interesting person. I mean, like to
do both.
Yeah.
To do both. Yeah. And what a talented guy he was too. He was, and the amazing thing about Sean is I'm 48. I believe Sean just turned 50. So we're not too far apart in age. And I mean, what he's accomplished, he was so young back then. I mean, he was like a 19, 20-year-old kid starting out back in those days, and he was on, getting these big matches with Razor Ramon and doing the stuff. But what a great talent. But I'll tell you, I like Sean not only as a wrestler from 1, 2, 3 Kid to all the gimmicks he did, but another person that I know personally, that I text with, that I keep in contact with, and what a good man and a good friend. And thank you, Sean, for gifting these to me. They've been interested in other people. Have been looking at these, and I will never give these up. These will always stay here. They belong right here where you gave them to me. And thanks again, Sean, for just a great friendship, our passion of dogs, and what you did for Lula, your rescue dog, which is amazing, because not too many people can do that. And just for your friendship. Appreciate it, Sean.
If anybody wants to see Sean, he's in one of my vlogs. If you look up when I went to the MASH filming location, I accidentally ran into him hiking out there, and he was cool enough to be in the video and say hi. And
that's Sean.
Yeah, very cool. What's the story with this this suit? Because you said it's Hulk Hogan's, but we don't know Hulk Hogan for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so this is really neat. This is Hogan. Hogan won an award for Hogan Knows Best. Remember that show when he had the family on? With
when he had the family.
Brooke and Nick and everything like that. Had an opportunity to party with Nick. That's another story for another day, one night. But I was out there in Cali one time. I got a friend out that way, and we ended up going out. Fun night. But anyhow, long story short, this is Hulk stuff. This is a really cool piece. Hogan Knows Best, and I don't have too much Hulk stuff, but I do have these. These I thought were really cool. These are Hulk's snakeskin boots, and he signed them Hulk Hogan, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So these are really good, really a nice example. Big dude. Now the funny thing is, Jimmy Hart was here a few weeks ago, and I still haven't corrected it. Jimmy comes to this mannequin. He goes, Hulk's not that big. He goes, you need to elevate this up, brother. So I got to lift this mannequin up to about here. So I know Hulk's had some back procedures done, but he maybe lost a little bit of height, but he's still tall. I got these maybe 5 years ago or so. These are Johnny Morrison and the other character that he worked with. I forgot the guy. I think he did J&J Security. I forgot his tag team partner back then. They were with M&M. And they were a really good tag team, and I believe they had the belts, and they were like a Hollywood gimmick. And who was the manager? Melina was the manager. A really good, great tag team back then. But these were the actual used from the M&M matches from back then. But I'll tell you something. The reason why I bought these up is Johnny Morrison. What a great look, great athlete, and what a great talent he was, and he still is. So I don't know what he's doing right now. Currently, I don't think he's with WWE currently. Jordan, this piece right here, something really special. Sean Waltman, aka X-Pac, gifted this to me. This was he wore this on the 1000th episode of Raw, of Monday Night Raw. So this is where they had where it was done in 2 buildings. I think they had it in the old Raw and the new Raw, where they filmed the new Raw, but they had the old Raw location, which was a much smaller building. So I believe he came out in this, and they did the whole DX thing with, he came out in this outfit. But anyways, he gifted this to me a few years back, and I've had this ever since, so this is actually what he wore.
Here's a jacket signed by Bret, a Hart Foundation jacket. Bret the Hitman Hart, Hall of Fame 06, excellence of execution, best ever, but he should have put the whole thing on there. Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be.
This was an early Jimmy Hart piece, and you know what's funny? Jimmy explained this outfit to me when he was up here. About this was in the Territorial days, and I think they have shows coming out now about wrestling territories. I believe there's some stuff on the Vice channel I saw coming out about this stuff, but these are when they were doing territories, and he would tell me that some of this stuff would just come from Kmart, some of the ties, and they would make it look good. So people would think he had some great outfit, and he would just say, I got that outfit out of Kmart, a tie thing. So he would also tell me that sometimes he would go in early on and go into New York City or whatever it was, throw a little hat on, be in disguise. He would do the same thing, go somewhere to try to find something that was inexpensive but looked good. But obviously their outfits progressed as they started to make more money and became more famous. But that's an early Jimmy Hart piece, super cool. And then even the shoes, he explained to me, he was wearing these Reeboks at the time, and these got good use out of them. So he knew somebody at Reebok, and that's how they used it. Really cool.